What do we need to know? The size and scope, and then the rationale to cut back on headcount.
Well, let's start with the rationale, because this year Meta is going to spend as much as $135 billion in capital expenditures.
That's a wow.
That's a wow, and this is before earnings. Next week, we could see that push even higher. So there's a lot of money being spent on AI, and they are citing efficiency and investment as reason for cutting costs with personnel. That's 8,000 potential employees facing layoffs and 6,000 open roles. And Brody, the question I want to ask you is, Evercore ISI had put out an analyst note saying they estimate that's about $3 billion in savings for Meta. Are these layoffs at Meta, the buyouts at Microsoft, are they really going to push the needle amid AI spend?
I think that they're probably just going to keep margins kind of flat, right? I think that's really the goal. I mean, Microsoft didn't state it in their buyout letter, but as you said, data centers cost a whole lot of money, and then the kind of traditional way to offset that spending has been cost cuts everywhere else. And, you know, one of the most obvious places companies have been going is their workforce.
Right. Brody, with Microsoft, this is voluntary. It's what we would call voluntary redundancy over in Europe or the UK, a buyout here. Is that what Microsoft typically does, or why are they going that route this time?
They've never done that before. I mean, they've done their share of big layoffs, right? So they're certainly not afraid to do that. But I think Microsoft often, you know, it tries to be seen as a bit maybe more of a compassionate big tech company. You see that in the way they communicate their environmental goals, for example. But I think it's all part of the same trend, right? That companies are feeling like in this moment that their employees should be able to do more with less. I don't think that it's straight up, hey, AI is replacing people quite yet, but I do think companies are saying, well, I think we could probably get by with fewer folks these days.
With Meta, the story around which parts of the company get trims has been more important, right? Reality Labs, refocus on AI, cut back on the metaverse. When I was reading the reporting, I was trying to understand, like, where specifically in this very big company are these cuts taking place?
Yeah, that's $1 billion question, Ed. I am looking to see that too next week.
Right. If you are a Meta employee and you're part of these cuts and you're hearing this, please reach out to Riley and try and explain it to us.
I mean, it's a high anxiety moment at Meta, and we are hearing from a number of employees who are really anxious in this time. Reality Labs has already faced cuts. That's been separate from the 10% that is coming in May. And there are questions as to whether or not this is just the beginning of broader cuts throughout the year. With something like 10%, you've got to believe that this is pretty widespread. But we know that they continue to invest in Meta Superintelligence Labs, that unit that is driving forward the new models under Alexander Wang. I'd be reluctant to say we're going to see major cuts there.
Okay, team, the way that we're thinking about this is just two companies, and we're trying to compare the level of cuts to capital expenditures. But Brody, like earlier in the year, software names were pretty impacted, right? You've been coming on the show periodically with a very large range of companies. I'm thinking Oracle as an example. Is there a sort of broader theme here, industry-wide, of cut back, people cutting back, and the rationale for doing so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, we saw big layoffs across tech starting around early 2023, but this more recent wave in the last, call it year and a half, I think is more tied to that GPU build out. I mean, the margin profile of these companies has really changed. You went from selling software packages, which were among the highest margin product, you know, humankind has ever made, to selling GPU infrastructure that's notably less so. And so they've really had to offset this one way or another. You know, right. As you mentioned, Oracle last month laid off thousands of people, and largely it really hit those cash cow businesses. They felt, hey, let's milk these for margins while we build out our big data centers for OpenAI.
Brody, a question for you that I have is, we've talked a lot about entry-level jobs and how they're going away. Now we're thinking about bigger picture, higher up jobs. What is it going to mean for layoffs for more senior executives across tech companies? Where could they possibly go?
Just quick, Brody, we got to get going.
It's a tough market. You know what? I hear every single day that it's taking a long time to find jobs. So it is a tough time in the tech industry.